I want to wish everybody a wonderful Shabbat. This parasha is the Ten Commandments, Yitro. And I wanted to talk about a little bit of this a sensitive topic because it's Shovavim. And I wanted to talk about the seventh of the Ten Commandments, which is don't commit adultery, lotin af. Because some rumor came to my father's best friend, told me a rumor that shook me to the core about married women doing some really disgusting stuff, so I think it's appropriate we talk about it. There's a Gemara in Shavuot Daf Mem Zayin Lotin Af. The Maharsha explains the Gemara. In the Ten Commandments, it could have said, instead of Lotin Af, it could have said that Lo tishkav im eshet re'echa, right? Don't sleep with your wife's friend. Why does it say
Your friend's wife?
Yeah, your friend's wife? So why doesn't it say don't sleep with your friend's wife? Eshet re'echa. Rather, it says lotin af. So if you look at the Gemara in Shavuot, it's an unusual lashon, right? So if you look, the Gemara there, Mem Zayin Amud Bet, it says Tanya Reb Shimon ben Tarfon Naimer, Azhara Okev Achar Niuf. Minayin Talmud Lomar Lotin af. Lo ta'anif. So the way the Maharsha and the Torah Tamima explained this is, the Torah could have said, Lo tishkav im eshet recha, right? Don't sleep with the wife of your friend. But the Torah uses a little bit unusual lashon, which the Gemara learns from here that you shouldn't be a pimp. You shouldn't be a person that promotes zenut. Which means the way the Chachamim understand the seventh commandment is not only, of course, the worst possible sin one could do, that the ramifications are eternal, is to create a bastard if you sleep with the friend of your wife, a mamzer, because he will never be allowed to marry and enter the nation of Israel, right? Lo tavu mamzer bikal Hashem. But Chazal are learning something deeper, that we have to create a society. You should not be a messenger or an agent that lets adultery and sexual sin and prostitution increase in the world, right? Because we're a holy nation, right? There's one goal that God gave us in the Torah, right? Liot kedoshim le'elokechem. Now, I wanted to go and talk about something more practical, because we want to talk practical about the Lotin Af. What is the beginning of the end that Chas v'Shalom causes people to come and sleep with the wife of their friend, which is the most disgusting and despicable, right? And see, some people think it's a joke that the Chachamim said, be shomer negia, right? It's usher. I would urge anybody that has my email, maorsm@gmail.com, I could send you a beautiful video from Rabbi Yoel Gold that shows the chief of staff of the Prime Minister of Israel, that she didn't shake the Pope, and he bowed to her, and President Biden, and he kneeled in front of her. See, some people think it's far-fetched. Rabbi, who cares if I hug my cousin's wife, or I hug my sister-in-law, or I'm not shomer negi, I shake hands. Rabotai, Rav Ovadia Yosef in Anafet Avot, when he explains the Mishnah, there's one Mishnah, I want to say he's cited from Rav Volbi, mein Rebbe, the Mashkiach of the Mir, the Mashkiach, the Rav Yeruchim of our door, Rav Volbi, says a Yesoid in Alei Shor, and that is that in Pirkei Avot, especially the first perek, the earlier the Mishnah is located, for example, if the rabbis, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, put a certain Mishnah in the first chapter, it means it's more fundamental part of the ethics of the Musar and the conscience of Klal Yisrael. You understand? If he puts something later, it means it's not as important. That's why he starts the first Mishnah that we have a Messiah, Moshe Kibbutz Torah, right? So if we go literally to the first chapter, which the way Rav Volbe Zatzal understands is, the first chapter of Pirkei Avot is the most fundamental of all the teachings of Pirkei Avot. None other than the sixth Mishnah, it says, Yoshua ben Parach Yoimer, and he Asel Charav Kun Adam et Kol Adam Lekav Sechut, and then he says what? He says, I apologize, Mishnah 5. He says, Al Tarbe, Yossi ben Yochanan says, Al Tarbe Sicha mi Isha. Do not talk too much to a woman. Bishto Amru. Sicha, the Maharal explains, means just schmoozing about non-essential stuff. You're allowed to talk to women, but Kal v'chomer be'eshes chavero. So we see that you should not talk too much to women, schmooze with women stam about random, non-essential, important stuff. Even your own wife. Kal v'chomer, so much so, the wife of your friend. Mikan Amru, from here our rabbis learn, whoever does this and does talk too much to women is going to create bad for himself, harm to himself, and he has a one-way ticket to go to hell. V'sofer yoresh gehinom. Now Rav Ovadia, very interestingly enough, explains why do Chazal are going very, very Israeli style here. They're telling you, because Rabotai, look, I'm sorry. The beginning of the end, what starts to create these terrible, terrible sin of adultery is from the little stuff. Not being shomer negia, talking too much to women. So Rav Ovadia here says, there's a Gemara in Nedarim, 20, page Chaf Amud Aleph. It says, Al tarbe sicha im ha'isha, the Gemara says there, because he says if you don't, you're going to end up being an adulterer. Sher sofa lideniuf, right? So the Gemara is explaining what the Mishnah says, Rav Ovadia. Why are you going to go to Gehenna? Because, and it says, V'chol ha'sofeh benashim sofa ba lidei avera. If you stare at women, if you have an unkosher phone that doesn't have a filter, right? Like, it's a tremendous zechus. I've given thousands of shiurim, but I never had a Rosh Hashiva in my shiur. So tonight, so I want to say one thing, that, Rabotai, all the laws of Yichud, right, that we're not allowed to be secluded, Rav Matasyahu Solomon said we have to learn it every year, because we are living in a society, especially the Goyim, that there's, listen, the biggest Yetzer Hara in the world is to steal money and do sexual sin. Look at the Gemara in the end of Makot. So the Rosh Hashiva Zatzal, Rav Shmuel Yaakov Weinberg, which in my eyes, he wasn't my Rosh Hashiva, he was like a Navi, he was like a Gilgul of the Rambam, he was very sensitive to these reasons. A person should not call his friend's wife by her first name. Should call her Mrs. Schwartz, Mrs. Weiss. Shouldn't call your, we have to be very, very, very careful not to be too lovey-dovey with married women, with any women. Chazal are telling us, Al tarbe sicha im ha'isha. And the Gemara in the Nedarim says, because if you're not careful in this, where's it going to lead? And I just want to say that the Rosh Hashiva Zatzal, one of the practical things that he always told us is, like, for example, it's better not to have a female secretary, maskira. But if you do have a female secretary or co-worker, you have to be very cold and distant with her. Because, the most intimate secrets of your life, the only woman you share that with is your wife. You shouldn't go have a girlfriend, right? And some people will tell you, Rabbi, why are you being so Haredi and crazy that I shouldn't call my friend's wife or my secretary by her first name? The problem is, I've been a rabbi for 19 years. It was my 20th year now. And my father was a leader of the community. The problem is, a lot of this disgusting mamzerim questions doesn't come to them. They keep it hush-hush. But we have to keep the 10 commandments, at least if we want Mashiach to come. The backbone of our nation is holiness. And of course, we don't want to have bastards. We don't want to have mamzerim. So we have to be so vigilant as we are to keep Shabbat and not turn on fire, right? As vigilant as we are not to kidnap people, which is the 6th commandment, don't steal. We have to be very machmir, dead serious we need to be on the laws of sniut, the laws of yichud, the laws of kedusha, the laws of Maran in Even HaEzer Siman Yud Zayin says, Me'od tzarich larchik min hashim. You have to stay far, far away from women that are not your wife. That intimacy, that romantic, that joking that you have with a woman, the only woman you do that with is reserved for the holy union of marriage. May Hashem help us that we keep the integrity and the holiness of our nation. And we only hear that there will be many, many holy unions of marriage and beautiful kosher sexual unions, which is done according to Kedat Moshe Israel. Everybody should have a wonderful day. Thank you.